All right. Welcome to our book club.
Wow. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You are honored to be here. You are honored.
I am honored to be here.
This month we read Hiddensee by Gregory McGuire. Discuss.
So our genre for the month was classic.
Class 6.
Yeah, a classic. And we decided to do, we as in me, decided to do a retelling instead. And so this is not, I would not consider this a retelling of the story, mostly because you don't even get into the Nutcracker actually like the ballet section that you would even like connect the dots to that until like the last
50 pages.
Yeah.
It's not advertised as a retelling, to be fair. It's advertised as like the backstory to the guy who made the Nutcracker.
Right. I guess I think I was expecting more whimsy than there was. It was a lot of he's just kind of bumbling around through his life, not knowing where he's going or what he's doing.
He didn't have any ambitions either, really.
He just kind of went from like situation to situation. He was like, I guess I live here now.
Right. Like he was with the older couple that apparently wasn't actually that old.
Well, I mean, you always think your parents are old, right?
Right, but he lived with them.
Did it allude to them being Hansel and Gretel?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of.
Because they're brother and sister.
Yeah.
And so he lives with them until they try to kill him, and then he ends up at the church until the guy sends him off to send a message, and he's like, am I ever going to come back? And the guy was like, I don't know. If you get a message and you bring it back to me, then great, and if not, then you're probably not coming back. And then he like just happens to get like brought into that house where he lives.
Yeah, like as a servant. Well, because wasn't it where the bishop was staying, where he was supposed to be delivering this message?
Yeah, something like that.
So he just kind of like, he didn't even officially get hired.
Right.
He just kind of started working.
He was just like hanging around waiting for the message, and they were like, well, while you're here.
Yeah.
And then he got kicked out of there. I mean, not really kicked out, but the family was moving on and they didn't want him to stay with them.
Well, because of the scandal with the kitchen maid.
Right.
Which that in the book was real odd. It was an odd. This is like the difference between, and I guess maybe he just wanted it to be odd, probably because Dirk is kind of a weirdo. But this is the difference between a man writing like a love scene and women who write love scenes. Like, there's a stark difference between the two.
In fairness, like it was the late 1800s, right? Is when this is set. So like he's this boy who was like raised by himself until he was like 10.
Mm-hmm.
And he had nobody to like teach him about things.
Right. He said the only thing that he knew was from the sheep or something.
Well, from
watching the sheep.
And then the random people that were like a couple beds over from him.
Oh yeah.
Which he was like, I never thought to like look. Like, and even like when she was like undressing him, he was like, oh, I didn't think I had to be naked too. Like he didn't have the internet. He didn't have other friends. Like he literally had no idea. So I don't think there was any way for it to not be awkward. Like as weird as it was, like reading it and you're like, wow, this is. I don't. In his situation, I don't think there was any other romantic way about it. Like.
That's true. I thought that I guess toward the end they started calling him Pan.
No, that was the knife.
No, right. So I thought that was weird. Like the whole forest scene where like the knife and then the bird were
Yeah, I didn't understand if he
talking
was,
when he
like,
was dead.
hallucinating that.
I don't know. The whole time it was like he died and then came back. And then did he die again? Like, okay,
When he got
so
hit
when
by
he
the
was
carriage
right, when
or
he
the
it wasn't
hot
a
air
carriage.
balloon,
It
or
was
the hot
yeah.
air balloon.
Oh,
I
yeah,
had
I
to
was like
I had to listen to that a couple of times because I was like, I do not understand what is happening here. Um so, but yeah, like did he die again and that's why he had that vision, or was he not dead to begin with the first time? Like why does
No,
he
the
keep
first
seeing these
time, when
things?
he was a kid, I know he died because
It
it
said
talked.
he died.
Yes, it like explicitly said that, and then the the bird or the woman, whatever girl was there with them, said that she was sending him back. That he like they didn't like him, she wasn't welcoming him, and she was sending him back.
mhm.
So I know the
So
first time
then
he died.
that made me think like with Clara, like when she was sick at the end and she uh had a really bad fever and stuff like that. I was like, was she like on death's door and that's why she's seeing all of these things that are from the magical land or whatever? Like is she
I'm pretty
hallucinating
sure she
because
saw Pythia at one point,
yeah,
like, towards
like
the end.
she was talking about all of the things that he saw.
Mhm.
And I might just be making this up because honestly, I just listened to it and I still don't remember half of what I heard. But um maybe it's not. I was going to say, didn't she say something that he hadn't told her and so he was like curious about that, but maybe that's not true. I might be making that
I
up.
know he had a lot of questions about like the Mouse King and stuff like that.
Mhm.
She talked about the mice a lot,
Yeah.
but I don't remember
So
anything about her talking about the forest.
yeah, but that whole thing was different than like the Nutcracker story, and I'm kind of curious why he decided to do that, like make Clara sick. And I'm pretty sure in the Nutcracker, her brother is younger than her, or at least it always looks that way. I guess the girl is always just taller, maybe in the ballet. Um, but and then she was sick in the book instead of in this other story. She was not sick,
Yeah,
and
she's
so.
just given a toy.
Yeah, she's just a little girl who was given a toy and then her brother broke it and then she was sad. Like it was pretty cut
Well,
and
that
dry.
part did happen. Her
Well,
brother
yeah, but
does
she
break
wasn't
it.
hallucinating because she was sick. Like she was I guess she had a dream
I've always
in the
understood the second half of the ballet as a dream, because
yeah.
then usually she goes to, like, all of the different Candylands country stuff, and then she ends up back in the house.
Right, she wakes up back at home
Mhm.
at the end of the play always. So,
And isn't she usually like smaller?
Yeah, she gets shrunk down
Yeah.
at the
Like she
beginning of
goes
the
to
play.
sleep. She goes
yeah,
to
that's
sleep
why
and
the
then
mice are huge.
yeah.
Yeah. So,
I don't know. I
yeah.
understood in the book for the like mice and stuff. I just thought that was like their imagination because didn't the boy hand out pictures as like Christmas presents? He had been drawing the mice, and he
Yeah, but
drew
I think
one
he
that had
did
like
that.
7 heads.
Yeah, I think he did that because he was trying to get on Santa Claus's good side. He was like
Right, but
trying to be nice to his sister. So I think that it
right,
was something that she had made up with her godfather, like in their little things, like get-togethers that they did.
Mhm.
right.
Because I think they talked about it before, and so he maybe had heard about it. I'm not sure.
I mean, that would make sense, like why she was like dreaming about a Mouse King if that was something that she imagined a lot. Like, I don't know necessarily that it was a hallucination because she was sick. I think it was
maybe just like a lucid dream.
It was just something that was like part of her play, was this like Mouse King idea, and then it comes out in a dream. I don't know. I'm just trying to connect the dots.
Yeah.
Okay, so make it make sense.
There was one part where you had texted and you were like, "This book is weird."
Who?
And I'm curious to know what that part was, because I'm curious to know if it's the same part that I was like, "What is happening?"
I remember when I texted that. There was a couple weird parts.
I remember texting that there was a weird part.
What?
Was it yesterday that I said that?
I mean, probably, since we read the book the last 2 days.
I've been reading this book for like the last 2 weeks. It just was really hard to sit down and read it. No, I think yesterday I was trying to listen to it while we were driving, and so I wasn't like reading and listening to it, and I was at the part where he like leaves the doctor and then he gets hit by the hot air balloon, and I didn't really catch that scene. So I didn't understand how we went from the doctor's office to this weird lost forest again, and I was like I can't do it.
With this satyr and some fairy lady.
And I was imagining he started talking about like a goat or something. I was imagining the guy from Hercules.
Essentially, yeah.
So I was very confused I was very lost in that moment. I had to go back and listen to it. But no, there's a lot of weird parts.
Yes. So the weird part okay, go ahead, Miranda. What was weird? What was weird for you?
For me, it was like a bunch of like things that came together, and I was like, that was a weird situation. It was the barn scene, and then
that was the scene that I was like, that's weird.
And then later on, they're like talking, like a couple years down the road, they're talking like about it. So like the barn scene is just weird, but what's his name? Felix? His advances, we'll call them, felt very unwanted. But then, like, it jumps in time, and later on, Dirk is like, yeah, I actually liked you.
Right. Like, so, yeah, like, the whole time, he's, like, whispering in his ear. I'm sorry. It's like random barn. He's just like
setting the scene for him to be making love with this woman that he works for who is married. And so he's like talking it out while Dirk is supposedly sleeping.
Right, and Dirk
to see if he would have a reaction.
In his mind, he's like, I'm controlling my breathing. Like, trying not to react. It was so weird. And then, they have that conversation, like, in the cafe or whatever, a decade or so later. And he's like, Dirk is like, no, like, it was, whatever. And then he goes, you want to come to my house? And Dirk is like, yeah, sure. And then he's like, great, my wife will love to meet you. And Dirk's like, a wife? What?
Like, you thought he was about to get lucky.
Yeah, I was like, that flipped back real fast.
I felt like the worst kind of miscommunication trope. I was like, I hate them in a normal romance, but this...
It's like the worst possible scenario. And then he just stays on as like the friend / Godfather for the rest of his life.
Yeah. He's like, I guess this is my life now.
Yeah. Another part that I thought was weird was when the guy he was working for left him with his wife. And so then Dirk starts to catch feelings for this lady, and he's like sitting her down, and then he kisses her foot.
Oh, like, yeah. Anytime he's like, man, I wish I could kiss her foot. I'm like,
like he's got a foot fetish.
I missed that part.
Yeah, and he mentions it a couple other times that he just really, really wants to be able to put his mouth on her feet.
Weird.
Not for me.
No, I don't even like other people touching my feet. I don't want to touch other people's feet. It was, needless to say, this was not the book I was expecting to read. I was expecting, I guess, more magic because, like, I am a huge fan of the Nutcracker, and Drosselmeyer always seemed very magical to me, you know, because, like, he makes these machines and they're like life-size dancing dolls, you know, like he gives her, I don't know, he just seems magical in the play. And I thought that reading where he came from would also feel, I don't know, I guess congruent with this quirky man that I'm used to seeing. Not like he had a sad life. It was sad.
It was very sad.
I think having read Wicked, this story, like, this is what I was expecting from Gregory McGuire. I was like, this is going to be weird.
I was going to say that, like, it definitely, like, the cover even has more of, like, a Grimm's fairy tale. So I feel like it's, like, coming from Disney's Little Mermaid and then reading, like, Grimm's brother, Little Mermaid. Like, it's not going to be the same cheery, happy story.
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say I was expecting cheery, happy, but definitely more like magic, like more fantasy than it was.
I don't know. I got like a very strong Grimm's brothers feeling, and those are just creepy and like gory and like.
It wasn't creepy and gory either. It was
it wasn't. It wasn't creepy or gory, which I was surprised. Like, knowing what I know about Wicked, I haven't actually read it, but I was expecting a little bit worse. But it was hard to get through, like, the heavy German influence.
Yeah.
All the names and, yeah, just trying to... Some of the things were interesting, like there was a building that he went by that they had all the paintings, and he wanted to go in and see them, and it was boarded up. What was that called?
Wasn't it one of the churches that he wanted to go to?
Yeah, but it's like a church that people go and visit all the time, isn't it? Wasn't it? It was a famous name.
I don't know. There was like the first, like 20% of the book. 20 to 30% of the book, I was at work working and I kind of zoned out, and then I just kept reading the book.
I thought there was like a real church.
The Sistine Chapel?
No, it wasn't that. I would remember that.
It was like wasn't it in the countryside? Like when he was walking with Felix, right? Like they passed by this church and he was like, "Why do you want to go in there?" And it was kind of like Felix thought it was like a common place, but then Dirk was like excited to go inside. I think it was Felix. Maybe it was the man he was working for after he left the summer home, after he supposedly fathered a child, which he did not apparently father a child.
I don't know. I don't remember, but
I was actually surprised by that when like that was the assumption that he was the father of this woman's child, especially like after reading their coital scene, like
coital. Why is it so funny? I
just the coital.
didn't think it was that funny.
I don't know. Their intimate time was very anticlimactic, and so it was I don't. The visions I have in my head are not appropriate to. I just imagine they get together. He's moving, she's done, he's done, and then it's just like, whoa.
I don't think
that's how I imagined it.
I don't think they actually did anything because he couldn't figure it out.
I don't know. Wasn't he talking about moving? Like he was like,
no, like they were like in the rafters. They were of the church, and then Felix came in, and then they went up to the bell tower. I don't know,
somewhere up higher.
That was apparently outside. And then they were like fussing around and stuff, and she was just like, I don't have time for this, and she like ran away.
Maybe. So then how would he even have thought that
they just saw her running away?
Anything.
He had no idea how babies were made. Actually, that's true, because when they showed up, when he was older, like a man.
Yeah, they were like in that storm.
He didn't know how the lady was going to
young adult. He didn't understand where the baby came from.
Right.
He knew that he had a baby, but he was like, well,
he's like, that's not my job to tell you. You're going to have to ask your friend. If you don't know by now, that is not my job. So, I guess. I
did find it interesting. So one of the questions you guys had asked was like related to like his childhood and then how he like seems to be so good with kids. So I do find it interesting that he was kind of in like denial of, like for a while he didn't even really accept that he had lived with that couple and that they tried to kill him. But he was always like so good with kids for somebody who like didn't have much of a childhood.
I thought it was funny when he started working for that guy, the printer guy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he like the guy was laying out his job description, and then Dirk is like, "I don't do kids." And then the guy's like, who asked you to take care of the kids? And then the next chapter, literally, he's asking him to put his kids to bed. Like, he's like, oh, just go put him to bed. He's like, I don't know how to do that. That's not my job. And then for the rest of the time, he's just like this kid's nanny, basically.
Yeah.
And then the guy leaves and he becomes the kid's nanny and the wife's nanny. And then he wants to lick her feet.
I feel like because Dirk doesn't know much, or like he's innocent, I guess, is that
naive, maybe?
Naive. It makes it easier for him to interact with kids. Like adults talk to him and he's like, what are you talking about? Whereas kids are like, let's talk about fairy tales and toys, and so it's just like easier for him to relate to them, which is why it's easier for him to, like, he connects with them so well.
Maybe. Right, like he's just still emotionally and mentally so young.
Yeah.
That he relates more to children than adults.
Yeah.
But then, like, he's also been, like, he, like, takes on this caretaker role almost. Like, he was supposed to take care as like a young man. I mean, it never really says his ages for anything, but I think when he was taking care of the boys for the papermaker, I think he was like late teens, early 20s ish. And then he was tasked to like watch this woman and make sure she doesn't like harm herself. And then when Felix dies, he becomes like the caretaker and like kind of support for Felix's wife.
Wait, Felix is his friend.
Right. So when Felix died.
Oh, later in the book. I see. I'm still sitting here. You jumped way over there.
He's just constantly like, he takes care of the kids, but then he also like takes on this major like caretaker role of adults too, like.
Right. Was there more, or is this?
I just think like because we were saying like he's just naive and that's why he relates to kids, but then he has this other caretaking role of like taking on these adults and being their support.
But I would relate it more to less of like an adult taking on these caretaker roles and more of like when a young child has to take on more adult roles. Like, I don't think that he really knew how to do that. He was just figuring it out, and it didn't always work out. Like with the wife.
The mom.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, she sent him away, and he tried to stay.
And he tried to make it back too.
Yeah. Do you think that she was like planning that whole thing, or do you think it was an accident?
Isn't that what Felix suggested?
Yeah, that maybe she had like offed herself on purpose.
Yeah, Will purposely got them out of the house and got him out of the house so that she could kill herself.
Yeah.
I think it was on purpose because Dirk was like, the husband didn't tell me to do this, and like he left me with instructions, and she's like, just do it. Like, just go to the uncle's house or wherever they were sent to.
Yeah.
He would have taken them, is what she told him, but he's gone sick. So, okay, well then send word to the uncle that he needs to either come and get them or they're not going because dad is sick. That makes sense. And then she like contacts his friend. Like, how did she even know he had a friend?
Yeah.
How did she even get a hold of Felix? Like, that was weird. But yeah, no, she was kind
about the dad because like I was wondering if he was like really sick. Like part of me was wondering.
Oh, right. Or if he's just like away. I thought he was maybe having an affair.
Well, she suggests that because she's like, he can't get out of bed or he can't get someone out of his bed.
Yeah.
But because like I don't know, I would think like he's sick, so then he writes this letter and it has to take a couple days probably to actually get to them.
But and then he writes another letter. Like he was sick, wrote a letter saying he wasn't coming home when he was supposed to. And then they got another letter saying he was still sick. Like, yeah.
And then he just never came. No, he did come back eventually because he got married again.
Yeah, he probably came back because he heard his wife died. So, but then who would have sent that message? I guess maybe the servants or Dirk.
There was the like laundry lady in the house,
and there's a cook.
Could have sent it.
There was a cook that he was supposed to call if she had issues with lady matters.
The doctor could have sent it.
Yeah. Well, and so, okay, do we think that his whole thing with like the forest and do we think that actually happened?
Like him dying?
No, we know I guess we know he died, but like, was that like all in his head? Or do you think he really had like these? Because after he died the first time, like this knife was talking to him.
Mm-hmm.
Too close.
And then it stopped talking to him.
The wise man. Just because it's happening in your head doesn't mean it isn't real.
I like how you said that totally straight face.
That was a rough one.
But like for real, like were these actual beings who were visiting him, or were they just in his head?
Yeah, well, like I mean, he took the knife out of the ground, and then he took it from wherever he was, and brought it back with him.
But the guy, well, yeah, I guess. But I was just going to say the guy was a wood carver. And he was there, like, intending to kill him. So maybe he had the knife, and he dropped the knife when he got hacked in the leg.
One of those situations, you'll never know the answer.
I know.
Whatever you want it to be, Kelly.
It's literally a book. I get it. Let's do some investigative reporting, guys.
Okay, so one of us has to
go to Bavaria, guys. We've got to go to Bavaria. Look in the Black Forest.
Where the other lady was from?
What other lady?
She was from Persia, I thought.
Oh, the wife? Yeah, she was from Persia.
Oh.
Because they were talking like Baghdad and stuff like that from her childhood. So.
I think it was very interesting. When was this book written? I thought it was kind of cool. What?
2017.
I just thought it was like he did a really good job in the actual like art of writing it. I feel like a lot of times just like the language and all that stuff. I thought like the art of writing the book. I thought he did a really
and it was descriptive enough,
right?
But not like too descriptive where I would get confused and just want to skip several chapters because it's all descriptions of scenery. Yeah. So I think he gave just enough to be able to imagine it, but not so much that you want to skip it and just figure out what you want to make up in your head.
Right. But I just felt like the conversation and like the language and all of that stuff, like he did a really good job of writing it for the time period it's supposed to be set in, I thought, personally.
I think that Gregory McGuire is a good writer. I just feel like he takes stories that are so like ingrained in my brain. Like I'm like, that's how the story goes. And then he tries to change it. And so then I'm like, no, that's not how this story works.
It's like resistance.
Even just like with Wicked, I was like I knew the play. And then I read the book and I was like, that's not the story. You wrote the wrong story. Even though
did the play
Wicked
come before the book?
No. The play is based off of the book, but it's made family friendly.
I was gonna say,
so what I heard was that the guy who decided he wanted to make Wicked into like a show had heard, like his friend had told him about Wicked.
And then he made
the thing. So he didn't actually even read the book until after he had written the play. So he was just taking what he heard from his friend.
So his friend was just like, "Hey, I read this book. It was about the wicked the wicked witch before she got killed.
Like here are the highlights." And then he was like, "That sounds like a great Broadway show." So that's what I heard. That might be wrong. But so I don't know. I feel like our last 2 episodes have been real like mellow.
No, we like the Briar Club.
I know, but it's
Briar Club.
I'm the one who's re-listening to all these things, guys. Like, I feel like
I think we all re-listen to our stuff.
Yeah, we all have to edit something.
That's true. But like, I'm backlogging, re-listening to these things, and so I'm listening to us from the beginning, like and I just feel like we had a lot more to say.
Sometimes you just don't have a lot to say about a book. And this is one of those times.
That's true. I'm excited for next year. I'm a little nervous, to be honest, like just trying to hit
we've got
different
things
countries.
To talk about.
Forget this book.
Moving on. Sorry, but
But I'm excited to like be able to choose what kind of book I want to read.
Wait. Before we start talking about next year, should we rate this book?
Oh, I guess.
What is the rating for a book you're just done
I
with?
gave it a 2.5 because I think that there's a very specific person who would enjoy this book. I am just not that specific person.
Yeah, like
I agree.
I don't like Tim Burton. I don't like Brothers Grimm. I don't like creepy things. I just like thrillers. Okay.
I don't like creepy things. I just like murder mysteries and scary people chasing me through the woods. And not scary things.
Not creepy fairy tale things.
Don't ever watch Pan's Labyrinth.
Okay, noted.
It's in Spanish.
Definitely won't watch it then.
To watch it dubbed.
Wait, what was your guys' ratings?
I think 2.5 is fair.
Why is it 2.5?
Meh. Hold on, I'll tell you the actual thing.
Not the Night Circus. That's what 2.5 is.
Meh. Not terrible, but not great either. It has some issues, but might be a bit of a chore to get through.
That's what that was.
Well, and speaking of re-listening to our podcasts, I recently listened to, actually it wasn't recently, it was last month. I re-listened to our Night Circus podcast.
Did you like it?
Actually, like, we didn't have a whole lot of terrible things to say. Our biggest thing that we didn't like was how all of the stories like overlapped, and it was confusing to like keep track of. Like, that was our biggest problem. I think when we were talking about the actual stories, I think at one point we said that if it was 4 different books, it would have been a good read. But yeah, and then we didn't like how like the whole tournament thing that they were doing. We were like, that was dumb.
I never actually finished that book, so.
You never went back and reread it? You said you were going to, liar.
You don't have to.
You did. I remember because I just listened to it.
Well.
So, anyways, I think we give the Night Circus a bad rap just because it was a tough read, not necessarily a bad read. I wouldn't read it again, but
this was also a tough read. I had to listen and read along to really be able to like stick with the story.
Yeah.
Or sometimes before I bought the audiobook, I had to like reread the chapters a couple times. Because the chapters are so short, and I feel like things change really fast.
Mm-hmm.
And so if my mind wandered even for just like a little section of the page, I was completely lost. So it's
I do have to say, I appreciate short chapters. It makes me feel like I'm making more progress. Like, than like if there was 15 really long chapters.
Yes. It's easier when you get to the end of the chapter and you're like, oh, the next one is just 2 pages. Like, I can read 2 more pages.
I will say, I just read a book where every single chapter in the entire book was between 2 to 4 pages, and it made it extremely hard to get through because I was just like, and like, it wasn't like one chapter carried into the next. It was like, it would end, it felt like each chapter was ending in the middle of a story, and then they were restarting a new story, and I was like,
so maybe that was more the writing style than the length of the chapters.
But I was like, can you just give me more of this?
I think even the housemaid had short chapters. I think.
Maybe.
I feel like 5 to 10 chapters is what I want.
5 to 10 pages?
Or not chapters, pages. Yeah.
Pages.
Yeah.
Because I
like
thought
double-sided.
When we were reading
the Housemaid has pretty short chapters.
Yeah, because I remember like getting through the Housemaid because it had short chapters. And then we went to the Briar Club that was like 200-page chapters.
Yeah, that was too long.
I was like, this can be
like whole story chapters, like the whole story.
Yeah. That was
9 chapters, 400 pages.
Yeah. Okay, so are we ready to talk about next year now?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm nervous because like just trying to find different countries, I guess. Like, are we looking for what exactly? What are the rules?
Should we
I want to know what the rules are.
Next year is before we
Sure.
So
go for it.
2025. So in 2024, we did a reading genre diversity challenge. And so every month we read a different book from a different genre. And in 2025, we're doing a read around the world. So every month, a book will be either inspired by like a different country's culture or set in a country, or the author, like it will have something to do with a country specifically. The author can be from the country, whatever.
Do you want me to read the rules that I wrote down?
Oh, if you made official rules.
She just sent it.
Well, I was trying to clarify it for people. So around the world reading challenge. The goal is to read books from various countries and cultures around the world. Read books set in or written by authors from different countries. Any genre counts. The main goal is that the book should represent a different country or culture.
Yes. I have very singular tastes in books, and so I'm just concerned. Also, as I was driving home from Walmart today, I was like, why can't we just have a book club where we get together and eat yummy food and drink yummy drinks and not actually read the book?
We all live in 3 different states.
It's true. It makes it hard. We'll just get on Zoom and shoot the breeze and,
That's what we do.
Zoom. Well, yeah, but not actually talk about books. Just kidding.
I think people who show up for a book club podcast would be very disappointed if there was no book.
It's true. It's true. Maybe I'm just feeling mentally spent.
I'm excited because I really enjoy books that are like fantasy books that are based in like Chinese or Japanese cultures. And I have some sitting on my shelf that I've been wanting to read, and now I'll have motivation to actually get to them.
Okay, but if we're talking about... Okay, sorry. If we're talking about cultures, like if you look at America, North America, there's a lot of different cultures inside North America, right? Like the East Coast is way different from the West Coast, and the Southwest is way different from the Northwest, and the South is just different. And Florida is its own thing. And like does that count? Or does it have to be
culture?
not United States culture.
We are going to read Kristen Hanna's The Women. I don't know that it's really inspired by their culture, but it is set in the Vietnam War.
Is that the one that's like popular?
Yes. And Miranda almost chose it, and then she changed her mind. So,
but I did pick the Briar Club, so
yes. It says, women can be heroes. When 20-year-old nursing student Frankie McGrath hear these words, it is a revelation. Raised in a sun-drenched, idyllic world of Southern California and sheltered by her conservative parents, she has always prided herself on doing the right thing. But in 1965, the world is changing, and she suddenly dares to imagine a different future for herself. When her brother ships out to serve in Vietnam, she joins the Army Nurse Corps, and follows his path. As green and inexperienced as the men sent to Vietnam to fight, Frankie is overwhelmed by the chaos and destruction of war. Each day is a gamble of life and death, hope and betrayal. Friendships run deep and can be shattered in an instant. In war, she meets and becomes one of the lucky, the brave, the broken, and the lost. But war is just the beginning for Frankie and her veteran friends. The real battle lies in coming home to a changed and divided America, to angry protesters, and to a country that wants to forget Vietnam.
So there's a Kindle highlight that says 11,000 people highlighted this. And it says, "Thank God for girlfriends in this crazy, chaotic, divided world that was run by men. You can count on the women." So, there you go.
Thanks.
Who run the world? So yeah.
Also, I'm very excited because I was looking at books in South America, and there's some really good ones.
What kind of books? Like thriller books?
Yes, there is.
Are we going to learn about Chupacabra?
There is one that was a thriller.
It might be Mexico.
I think I added like 4 books to my shopping list.
I'll be honest, I haven't even started looking.
So. I already have my 3 picked out.
Well, I guess I'm the slacker here.
Just kidding.
Okay, wait. It's good that we didn't have much to say about this book because I also want to do some end of the year recap stuff.
Okay.
Okay. Out of the 12 books, which this is the first time we read 12 books, which one would you say was your favorite? Not necessarily like what was our overall favorite, but which one?
Just this year?
Say? Yeah. Just this year.
I really liked The Housemaid. And I also really liked Love with a Chance of Drowning, which was Kelly's pick.
Yay.
I don't always pick bad books.
Okay, so I was... Sorry, this is off track. I was trying to read this yesterday, and Nate was like, "Is this your book club book?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "You don't like it?" And I was like, "Not really." He was like, "Kelly picked it."
Rude!
Hey,
you are off the Christmas list. Off the Christmas list.
I would say that my favorite book was probably Assistant to the Villain because then I went and like immediately read
I also picked that book. Thank you.
And now the third one's coming out and I will be reading that.
I still haven't read the second one.
Oh. You should.
Okay. I can only pick one.
I don't know. I named a few.
Is that the rule here?
No.
There are no rules.
No rules. I think I liked Royal Runaway because it didn't make me think a lot. It was a pretty shallow book. I also really liked Assistant to the Villain. So, also didn't make me think a lot. I think we have a trend here going on with Kelly. Kelly reads books to not think.
Kelly likes to just like mindlessly do her tasks while the book plays, so she doesn't want to have to like devote 100% of her brain.
It's true. Also, I'm the same way with games. Like, if the game has too many rules, I refuse to play it. If it's too complicated, I'm like, pass. I'll watch, thanks. Like, I don't want to play this game. I like Uno. It's very, very straightforward, Uno. We just discovered the This Is Not a Hat game. Very straightforward. Really like that game. So if it has too many rules, I don't like it. So I guess it's just kind of, my brain likes to take a break. I was going to say I'm a mom, but Jill's a mom too. So I was like, my brain is just like fried all the time. I just feel fried all times. I have a teenager. None of you have teenagers. So that makes it different, right?
Teenagers.
She's not a teenager yet.
What? Oh.
Jill's like raising, yeah.
She practically is a teenager.
I don't know. I'm in the thick of it, Jill.
Listen, I work with 2 theater departments, each of them holding 100 teenagers.
Yeah, but you're not like invested in their life choices.
A little bit. He knows who they are.
Some of them. When they come to me and they go, I would like to do theater for the rest of my life, I go, okay, come.
Yes, but you're not worried that if you say the wrong thing, it's going to set them off and then they're going to talk to their therapist about it when they're 25.
I don't know. Anyways, okay. Here are some random stats about us, which Jill came up with. So this year, in 2024, we read 12 books. We recorded 615 minutes. We were guest stars on one podcast, which is Bookish Flights, if you want to go listen to that. I think we're episode 86. We visited 3 new bookstores together on our trip that no one really knows about except for the vague photos that got posted. We went on a sister's trip this year.
We went on a sister's trip, and we took a lot of pictures and video that we did nothing with.
We did. Okay. If you watch, what was it? Bedtime stories?
Yeah.
Then you'll see us on our trip in
We're
our
all
Airbnb.
together. We're all together for that one.
Which, speaking of bedtime stories, Adventure Bedtime Stories for Adults was our shortest episode. I think it was like 28 minutes.
No, we didn't have a lot to say about that book.
34 minutes. It was around half an hour. Our longest episode is Like She Owns the Place, which is interesting. I don't feel like... Do we have a lot to say about that book?
I mean, apparently.
I guess. While this book wasn't from this year, our best performing episode from this year was Black Sun. But that was a book we read, I think, last year.
Yeah, November.
But our most popular episode from this year is Royal Runaway. So everybody apparently wanted to listen to us talk about a princess.
Okay, it was 31 minutes.
It was 31 minutes. Our shortest episode. So those are some random stats about us this year.
Random things you never wanted to know.
Hey, it's interesting.
I mean, the viewers, listeners,
it's
followers, subscribers.
Want to know. Anyways, we also did a giveaway. We didn't announce it on the podcast, but we announced it on our social medias and our newsletter. Did we announce it in our newsletter? We announced it on our social medias.
No, we didn't.
So people should really follow us on Instagram and TikTok because random giveaways.
We give away a Kindle reader.
It was like a little gift.
A kid's Kindle. It was a kid's Kindle, and these two doubted me that it would be the same as any other Kindle, and they were like, "No, it's a kid's Kindle. Why is it? Why are we giving away a kid's Kindle?" I'm like, "It's literally the same thing as an adult Kindle. You just don't pay for no ads, and you get a free cover." It's like the best.
We gave away a Kindle.
Who won? Her name was Danielle, I think, right?
Danielle Clayton.
Good job.
Danielle.
Yay.
Congrats, Danielle.
Okay, well, see you next month.
Goodbye. See you next year.
Oh my gosh. Bye.
Bye.
Happy New Year. Oh, bye.
Hey guys, thanks so much for tuning in to this episode. Don't forget to subscribe and then follow us on whatever social media platform you use the most. The link for next month's book is going to be down in the description below, so grab your copy and then make sure to share all your thoughts with us.